student. The first, you're professional. Yeah, you have many balls to balance: working, family, kids, and school. Okay, so it's not easy. And I guess when we design the MSc program, we actually have, you are the targeted student. We try to make it flexible. We try to make it anytime, anywhere, and basically a lot of means you can actually achieve the learning goal. For this class, 547, it's a little bit different from some of the other MSc classes. This is about software measurement. Okay, so it sounds like it's a very narrow, kind of specific topic, but actually it's kind of important. It actually lays the foundation for many aspects in software engineering. Okay. I'm going to just go through what I'm going to do for the semester. I have already posted the syllabus online, so I assume you guys are already familiar with the system. And also you can find these slides. And I also post some of the important dates, okay, the due date of all the work. And make sure read it carefully, and make sure you plan accordingly. Okay, so to be successful in an online environment, you probably already find it out. You basically need two things: one, discipline. I know sometimes it's hard, but you need a discipline, and also good planning. Okay? Because when you do the plan, look at the constraints, the milestone, the target, the due date, and also in your work, when you have to do what, then balance out. Okay, so sometimes I'm going to do a little bit more in the beginning, sometimes maybe a little bit later, but you just have to plan it out and do it. And also you have like 2 classes, right? Combine the 2 classes, the work involved, and also your actual work. Okay, that's the fundamental of project management, right? Okay. So this is the textbook. It's called the Measuring the Software Process. This is the book. I think it's the only book dealing with SPC, statistical process control, applied in software. Okay, so this is the only book we have. And this is actually the one used in SEI. The old Software Engineering Institute, when they do the training for measurement, this is a book they use. Okay. I did put some reference book. I guess we changed the order a bit. Dr. Chen, the class he's teaching. Okay. Actually, some of the chapters in that book dealing with measurement. Okay, we talk about dealing with the defect, right? Okay, so that obviously you're going to have some metrics. You have developed some metrics for quality. Okay, so there are a few chapters, 11 to 16. Okay, actually talk about how do you analyze, how do you assess the quality of program you tested. Okay, what indicator you use. Okay, there's the second book is an excellent book, Elementary Statistics. Okay. And I know you probably learned statistics in college, okay, but I'm not so sure if everyone has mastered the statistical thinking and apply in a real situation, particularly software situation. Okay. And this book uses real life example, illustrate, okay, how you apply some of the statistical techniques to analyze, to assess, and help you solve some real problem. Okay, so it's one of the most popular book on statistics. I think now it's on 18th edition. Okay, there are a few other. There's a CMY book. Okay, so you can actually you can download free online from CMY Institute. Okay, and I may add a few other references throughout the semester. There are a couple of other books, 6 and 7, if you want, you can read them. And by the way, most of those reference books are not required. Okay, just sometimes you see, I want to get more perspective from different angle. Okay, and sometimes that's why I use library, the same topic, but every author, they may look at the same thing from a different view. You don't know which one will actually hit the spot, help you, cross the threshold. Truly understand the purpose, okay, and behind the idea and the principle. The classwork, we talk, obviously each professor is different. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's just different. I think it's a good idea to, get used to different style, because in reality, when I actually work, I think every manager will be different. Okay, so sometime, here's what usually I'll do. I do put some importance on discussion board. To my experience, because we have a lot of experienced software professionals, take this advantage. Every class, I hope you learn something from me. I actually learn quite a bit from the student, because you're on the front line, you're facing real problems, software problem each day, and also, you can learn from each other. One way I'll do it, I use the discussion board. So typically, this semester, for every 2 weeks, I'm going to pose a question. I want you to understand the question, look at from your own perspective, provide thoughtful answers. I want I read all of them. I want you also, read all the posts. I truly encourage if you can relate to your working experience. Okay, if you work, if you can, I have a situation, or if you don't have a working experience, I read somewhere, or, I have this idea, I think it's kind of unique, it's all good, okay? And also, I use discussion board to control the pace of the class, okay? So, I talk about discipline and talk about the plan, so we have about 8 chapters, so you need to study. I already posted first 3 lectures, so you can start to look at them. And I use the discussion question, okay, to basically say, okay, now this, you need to at least, study, progress that much to, in order to effectively answer the question or provide a reasonable, good answer. Okay, so learn from each other, knowledge sharing, okay, and also, this is a way to see, if I truly understand. Okay, uses the material covered from A to B. Okay, final exam, I get, because of nature of this class, it's not right, it's not wrong, as I mentioned, but typically you don't need to memorize anything. I want understanding, okay? So I give an exam, you typically have 2 days to work on. Okay, what I'll do is I give you some real situation, okay? So you need to apply what you learned, see how you can come up with a solution. The solution obviously is not unique. Okay? That's why it's called engineering. Engineering is not about optimization. Engineering is about come up with a solution to solve the problem. Okay? We can always do better. We can always improve, but first we need just do it. Okay? In order to do that, you need to have a set of weapons, right? A good understanding of some of the principles, some of the techniques, some of the tools. Okay? So you have all that. But in reality, how do you combine and apply them, okay? I would like to do that in the test. I would like to do that in the assignment. So I gave 2 assignments. And I do put, importance in project for obvious reason, okay? So anything non-trivial, I can't, it's difficult to come up with a non-trivial, interesting, problem for 2 hours, okay? And so the term project is something, I like every professor, it's kind of important, okay? I assume you already have a group in the previous class, that would be great. If not, and also I post online, if you want, you can, request, join a group, or if you want, you can start your own group. But, I assume most of you already got a group. You have a good chemistry, hopefully, and you figure out the strengths of each and the weakness of each. Okay, so obviously no one is going to be good at everything. Okay, so why we need a group? Because sometimes the size is big, one person cannot do it. And more importantly, in most cases, because the skills required. Sometimes it's difficult to have one person knows everything. Okay, for the project, I do have put some, higher percentage, okay? And I know it's hard to judge individual contribution, but life is sometimes not fair. You need to learn to handle that, Okay, sometimes you do more, something. When you have a team, okay, so how do you motivate the team? How do you reward? There's some common principles. So if you do good, everybody should benefit. If you do bad, no one should benefit. Okay, the project failed, none of the team members should benefit out of this. Okay, use the term project. We're going to talk a little bit more later. So I have a different topic. I also encourage you to pick your own topic. If you can somehow relate to what you do in your work, that'll be great. Okay, I like something specific. You can go deeper. Okay, and I usually don't like too general. You cover a little bit everything, but I want something narrow, specific. You can go deeper. You can, come out with some valuable stuff. Generally, I'll give you more than enough time. I think, just use common sense. So I typically don't accept late work. So I give you enough time. If there's something happen, obviously let me know. Okay, but generally, rely on good plan. Okay. So here is the typical, and sometime I may do a plus or minus, but typically that's the thing about the grade. The grade is important. We talk about, particularly want to pursue a PhD, but in reality, we talk about the measurement. There are two types of measurement of variables. One is called a proxy variable. Another one is a real variable, economic variable. Okay, grade, GPA is a proxy variable. Okay, it's not, you have a good GPA, it doesn't guarantee success, achieve your life goal. Okay, the real life goal is to learn something. Dr. Chen said, when you go interview, well, the GPA gets you the interview. It's a one indicator. But in reality, they want to know how do you approach in solving problem, okay? And how you work well with others is a teamwork. No one just writes software all by himself these days. Can you communicate? Can you listen? When I explain something to you, do you understand? Can you ask the right question? Okay, so those are the things that are important. Obviously, hopefully, the GPA, a high GPA indicator, you do have the good quality of the two, but sometimes the two doesn't equal. Right? So GPA is important, but since you guys are, most of you are working professional, so you understand, the most important thing, the real value you gain from this program is to learn a lot of new stuff coming out. To enhance your capability, you perform well, you communicate well, you persuade others well. I think that's important, okay? But, obviously GPA is important. There's one minimum, you gotta have enough to graduate, right? So that's 3.0, that's average B, right? If you want to go to PhD, I think minimum is 3.5. Okay, so if you below 3.5, most schools won't accept. Okay, but, and after that, it depends, okay. The objective for this class, I would like to, you learn, hopefully you can learn some practical approach in software measurement. Okay, so a lot of people use this every day. If you're involved in software project, anytime, so here's the project, how much time we need to do this? What kind of resources we need to place into these resources? In the middle, how much are we finished? Okay, so you have to analyze, so the whole thing must be transparent. No measure, there's no transparency. Okay, but how do we do that? It's very difficult. There's like a fundamental sizing estimation in software we still have not solved. The so-called the size of software. How do you measure the size? Okay, a lot of organizations, they use line of code. But that, is too technical. It cannot mutually, objectively measure the amount of feature you want to develop. Bill Gates mentioned, measure software size by line of code is like measure the progress of building an airplane by weight. Okay? So it's, I don't know, it's 1,000, I have no idea how much airplane weighing. If I build half of that, that means I'm halfway there? No. Right? So when you write the code, you finish the whole thing is 100,000 line, and you finish 50,000, that means you're 50% down? No. Okay, so, and it's just a simple example. Okay, and for example, when you work, can you answer the following questions? So if for 1 hour requirement analysis, how many equal hour of design required? For 1 hour design, how much coding? 1 hour coding, how much testing? See, so it's a cross-functional team. And sometimes you don't have the numbers. You are guessing, okay? So that obviously will make management, that will make improvement much harder. Okay, so for example, defect, usually where do you make the defect? You want to reduce defect, you have to know where do I make the defect? Where? And what's your 28 concept? Okay, what type of defect we typically make? Okay, so in order to answer those questions, there's something you have to do called metrics. You have to use metrics, okay? And typically, we need to learn how to measure the few things software product. Okay, we need to learn how to measure project itself. Okay, we need to learn to measure software process. And these days, the system or product is different from project. So a product requires a bunch of, lots of projects. Okay, you build a system, you build a product, usually you're probably going to use 10 years, 20 years, right? Okay, but in the next 10 years, 20 years, every year you have to make some enhancement. We have another class, software maintenance, right? So that's the one good thing. So we have software now, penetrate everywhere. So that's why the job market will be good, right? Because they need people to maintain and those systems. And also process. So this is one, I guess in the morning, James, Dr. Choi also mentioned, one unique things about this program is we also emphasize on process. Okay, so you work, you realize how important this thing is. Just basic concept of quality of product also depends on the quality of the process you use to build the product. Okay, it's not that simple, just one person look at this, I can go from A to B. Okay, so how do you build a product that the customer, the user actually will like? It's not an easy thing. And the highlight of the class is analyze process behavior use statistical techniques called SPC. Okay, if you learn this one thing in this class, I think that would be great. Okay, if you know how to use it properly, your manager will be amazed, will be truly impressed. Okay, and we get inside of the story, help us identify where is the real bottleneck. Okay, and understand the story behind the data. Okay, and this is, and also this part is probably the best part of the textbook. Okay, so now this will be, I guess I will devote most effort and try to teach you. Okay, and so that's a highlight. And also we're going to learn a little bit more about CNY. Okay, because there's a process area called the MA, measurement and analysis. So that's a level 2 process area, which the reason it's placed in level 2 is lay the foundation for the rest of the work. And if you truly want to understand some of the high maturity stuff, how do we conduct quantitative management? Okay, that's SPC. Okay, so through this class, you can learn some fundamental concept and idea and objective of high maturity. And also, this is an area that changes every, I guess, 3 months, okay, even less. I will try also include some new good, or I don't know if the term is best practice in the industry. I don't like the term best, okay, but there's no like one practice that's good at every context. Okay, so something good in IBM may not be good at RISIA. Okay, the product is different, safety requirement is different, people different, organization structure is different. Okay, so there are a lot of differences, but some of the common practice, the common principle will be very valuable. Okay, but obviously the key is how do I make it work in your own context. And so when we do project, when we do homework, when we do discussion board question, I like to, do my part, the best to connect to the more practical aspect. Okay? And so if you work in a company you're doing some work in software, I think that would be great. Okay, and also I want to see if you can relate to what you're doing there, your daily work, and also your weekend work. I assume this is weekend work. Okay. Evening work will be the kids. I'm not going to go through all the topic. I read it. So I pretty much will follow the textbook, but I will provide a lot of other material, useful stuff. Okay. And so there are some little milestone. Okay. So you can. By the way, the highlight of the book of the chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. Okay. So if you truly understand those 3 chapters, I'll be very happy. Okay, so then very few software engineers truly understand that. They have become more and more important, okay, in making decisions. Okay. So obviously one of the key concepts is we try to understand the control chart. Project topic, I'm very open. Okay, so I list some of the possibility. Okay, I'm gonna post another one end of the month, so you can start to think. I don't know how much you maybe you already know something through the previous class, something you're interested in, or in your work. Okay, so you can totally ignore what I posted here. Okay, just say, I have this very unique problem that has been bugging me, or my manager has been, or there is the pinpoint, something, maybe somehow I think it might be related to some aspect of metrics. Or maybe if we do this way, we might be able to improve a little bit. If you can do that, that would be great. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to post this, add more. I give you the team some time to think. You guys can talk, okay? And there's a communication involved. And email me. I'm going to ask or submit a plan or abstract. Okay? Give me the objective. Give me the scope. Give me the basic role and responsibility of each team member. I want to see how you assign managing that. Okay, and some feasibility, justification. So anytime you do a project, 2 things are the most important considerations, just like in your final project. One, it must be valuable. You don't want to do something that has no value, right? So value driven is very important. Because something, value means to someone, to the community, that will be big. It's something big, better to your team, or to your own learning, or to organization. So that will be fine too. So value, one. Another consideration is feasible. There is a constraint. We talk about the metric. There's things with old framework. Okay, so what's a good project? The old time is what? I finished all the feature, right? I did it on time, okay? And the budget does not exceed the original plan. That's a good project. Actually, that's wrong. Okay, because there's no words of value. Even a project, all 3 conditions satisfied. Do they sell? Is that guarantee? This product people are going to like? Solve people's problem? Those things are not a true indicator. They are proxy variable in a way. And they are actually the constraint. You never build a project for the purpose, do it, finish on time. Just do those things. You build a project to make money. You build a project to solve people's problem. Okay, so those are the constraints. Under those constraints, can I maximize the value? And that's also agile thinking. They're also lean thinking. So one thing I'm going to talk a little bit throughout the class, I will encourage you, to get involved too, is some of the most recent development in the agile, and that actually has an impact on how do we measure, particularly the lean Kanban. That's a Japanese term. I don't speak Japanese. And also there's called a next generation of lean software engineering. There's some new idea, new concept, okay? And they all have a good impact on how do we establish and use software metrics. Okay, so those are some of the things I'll talk about it. And so there are some models some people use, like reliability growth model, Kochman model, so I know some organizations use. Many of them that, might be a little bit too heavy for application software development. Okay? And also, if it's a team relatively small, you don't have to do that. And so peak project, obviously, there's some brainstorming involved. The team needs to reach some consensus, right, or some sort of agreement, and think what's the value. Okay, so by doing this project, what each will gain? Hey, top of measurement, by then, how do we know we achieve that? Okay, and also, is this feasible? Come up with a plan. What's the feasibility study means? Give me a plan. So I have like this time frame, so that's a constraint, right? This number of people, resources. Okay, what do we know? Our skill set. Okay, and then, come up with a good scope. What can be done? Okay. You can certainly pick your own topic. Okay, but I will, I want you to, before we finalize that, send to me. I'll read it. I'll give you some recommendation feedback. Okay, so feedback are very, very important. Okay. And one thing, I wish I could do more, but sometimes we're also very busy, doing a lot of work. There's no grader, so basically I have to do all the grading. And I'll do my best, try to provide quick feedback, but sometimes, if I cannot, hopefully you can understand. Yeah. One project, two homework. Two homework, okay? But the homework is also group homework. Okay, so the only thing need to be done individually, the discussion board. So each unit, because I want to make sure, I use that to ensure you study the class material. Okay, you learn from each other. So that's individual work, and also the final exam. Okay, that's individual work. Homework, and also the project will be group. One project, okay. Okay, so here are some of the important dates. I'm not going to go through that. I already posted online. Okay, and I assume you all have a little calendar book, right? And mark that. Okay, and share. So I assume if you have a team, and come up with a plan. Okay, your own little milestone. Even though for project, I do the percentage of your total grade is also relatively high, But I do want I want to give you opportunity to get feedback. It's not required. If sometime you guys have a different idea, okay, so you can't reach consensus, you would like to hear my point of view, I'll be more than happy. Just email me, or I use Skype from time to time. Okay, do a little conference call. I'll be happy to do that. And what I give you, just recommendation, suggestion. Suggestion can be ignored. It's your call. Okay, so it's your team. It's your project. Okay, and I give you the standard. I give you my requirement. How do you get there? Just like a real project. It's your responsibility. Okay, and so for homework is also, it's a project, the team homework. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know should I tell you this. One thing about, I usually give individual homework, but the grading is, but, and also the one good thing for me is less grading. But on the other hand, if it's group homework, I can give you more interesting stuff. Okay, if it's individual, that's a constraint, right? So there are certain things, I think this would be cool to have them try out, but you don't have time. Okay, but so there's some advantage for everyone. Okay. And final work, the project is due is the final week, the Monday. Okay, if you want to submit early, that's fine. As I mentioned before, if you have some unfinished draft, if you like, I'll be more than happy. You send me, I'll give you my feedback, how you can improve. Okay, but again, it's eventually what you're going to do is your decision. Okay, I guess that's all. And so communication is important. Okay, I think in the morning, James mentioned, I think that's very important. If there's a problem, never drag it out. Okay, the later you fix it, the cost will be much higher. Okay, you know, for example, if it's a cancer, early detection means you can live for a long time. If it's late, well, you know, it's going to be tough. Defect, you identify early, you know, in the same phase through review. All you need to do is fix a couple of documents, right? If it's later, you know, the defect you identify after use for 3 years, first, how did it happen? Where? You know, identify, you know, the location is going to be added. You know, who developed this? Oh, they are gone, right? And after I fix this, I made some change. What are the impact to the other part of the program? A lot of things. The cost will be much higher. Don't drag things out. That's an economic smart decision. There's a problem. The early fixing it, the better. Okay? Drag out. The problem never going to go away. There's a term called, in Agile, called technical debt. There's an interest associated with technical debt, quality debt. The longer you wait, the interest will be much higher. Okay, so same thing. Just, you know, some of the principle, it's just common sense. Okay, software development, software engineering, CMMI, Agile, Lean, a lot of them just common sense. And apply this. They talk about Agile, not just doing Agile, being Agile. Okay, make that part of your, you know, thinking. Okay, that's how you analyze the problem. Okay, so if there's I'm sure there will be something. Okay, any issue, any problem, whatever. I think always the smartest thing to do is communicate early with the right people. If it's related to the class, just, you know, email me, and we figure out how to fix it. Okay. Any questions?